What's going on, friend? It is great to see you. It has been a while. There is so much going on for this potential severe weather outbreak for Friday. We are going to jump right into it. First, with the risk area. Then, I want to show you the high resolution future radar. And there is a cold side to this system that's going to bring some heavy snow to parts of the upper Midwest and northern plains. We will get to that part of this video towards the end of the video as we break down this big winter spring storm for Friday that has already provided dueling moderate risk outlooks here from the Storm Prediction Center. Sorry if I sound kind of weird. I think I'm starting to come down with something, but I wanted to hop on here because this outbreak could be extremely significant on Friday. So here's the deal. Moderate risk area number 1 is for parts of Iowa, Illinois, and into the northeast corner of Missouri. So that's going to include us in Cedar Rapids and into just to the north of us in St. Louis. Now, south of St. Louis, we have the second moderate risk area. And again, this is 4 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. I know moderate doesn't sound too upper echelon, but again, when we get these moderate risks from the Storm Prediction Center, these are your high-end outbreaks. Remember, Mississippi the other day was outlooked for a moderate risk for severe weather, and you saw what happened. So again, these are what you need to take seriously whenever these are outlooked by the SPC. Down through Memphis, east of Hot Springs, into extreme northeast Arkansas, to the boot of Missouri, western Tennessee, extreme southwest Kentucky. That is our second moderate risk bullseye. The other thing that I want to point out here, and those are going to be the two areas that we're going to talk about the most for the long track tornado, the significant tornado potential. But look how big the overall severe weather risk area is. And I'm highlighting it here with the orange. That's going to be the enhanced risk area. So 3 out of 5. This is what kind of makes this potential outbreak on the rarer side. It's going to be the scope. I mean, we're talking about the potential for severe weather from Rochester, Minnesota, all the way down to just about Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So the scope of this storm is going to be significant. So those are our two risk areas. I also want to show you, I think this is extremely important. What I have highlighted here is the significant tornado potential, the potential for those long track tornadoes that are on the ground for a very long time, but also have the potential to be EF2 plus. So you're stronger tornadoes as a result. And that's going to move that risk area a little bit to Peoria. And you see that expands a little bit closer to Hot Springs and then a little bit deeper into western Tennessee. So again, a potentially ugly day rolling around for a lot of the deep south and then up the Mississippi River for us in the upper Midwest. We're going to move on to the high resolution future radar now. And this is going to show how things could play out on your Friday afternoon. So I want you to pay close attention to this. The junk you see going on here, this is going to be 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central, in and around Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Columbus. That is not expected to be severe. Again, we are looking specifically kind of right in here and watch what happens. So this is noon Central. We start to get a few things pop in here. Down towards Dallas even, Hot Springs, into north central Arkansas. And then look towards Cedar Rapids. We have a few supercells starting to pop. Those supercell thunderstorms are the ones that have the opportunity to produce those long-lived, strong tornadoes. We're going to break this into two kind of hour-by-hour looks here. We're going to start in the deep south, and then we're going to move back up towards the Iowa, Illinois, northern Missouri area. So we're going to zoom in to give you a closer look and to give you a better idea here of what you can expect tomorrow. And if you're watching this, again, this is going to be tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, that is Friday, March 31st. So already here, as of 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, we are starting to see things pop. It's once we start to get into that 2 to 3 to 4 time frame that things really start to get concerning. And then this is going to be 4 o'clock Central Time, okay? Couple of things that I want to point out here. Look at all of these kidney bean shape guys. If you watched me long enough, you know when I talk about the kidney bean shapes, that's when things are going to get rough, okay? So we have the isolated nature of these discrete supercell thunderstorms in these kidney bean shapes. Those are the storms that are going to have the potential to produce the long tracked long-lived and strong tornado. So again, this is going to be 4 o'clock Central. Let me back this up a little bit. So really everybody from about St. Louis down toward Little Rock need to be paying close attention here. And then we're going to watch this line move. Now, this is 5 o'clock, and you see them even a little better defined, unfortunately, from around Ball Knob into Jonesboro, Poplar Bluff, and then towards Chester. I'm calling out these specific cities. It does not mean you're going to get a tornado. When you see a high resolution model, again, these models are just guidance. It paints the picture of the overall environment, not gospel as to where exactly the individual supercell or tornado could set up. So I want to be clear about that. Just because you see a supercell over your town does not mean you're going to get nailed with one of these storms. It just paints the extremely volatile environment that we're unfortunately back in again after an already rough year of severe weather. So I want to take this further out in time, closer to the evening now. This is going to be 7 o'clock. That nasty line of thunderstorms is getting ready to cross the Mississippi River. This is 8 Central, 9 Eastern. I want to point out a couple of things here. We always like the storms a little more linear. And again, we want the storms competing with themselves. Supercell thunderstorms are selfish. They like to be by themselves so that they can have the entire environment to them. The severe threat's going to go down a little bit as we move towards 9 to 10 o'clock. Now, I want to also be clear that we can still have embedded supercell thunderstorms in this line. We could still have embedded quick spin-up tornadoes in that line that could cause damage. The slightly better news is that when you start to lose that supercellular structure, the threat for those long-lived tornadoes does go down a little bit. But again, the environment's still really good for severe weather and damaging weather through central Tennessee. So I want to be clear about that in the same breath as I say that the threat for those long-lived tornadoes goes down a little bit as it moves into central Tennessee. I want to take you further north now, and we're going to break down the second moderate risk area because there's also the potential for some strong tornadoes in Iowa, in western Illinois, and then extreme northeast Arkansas. So here we go. This is going to be 2 Central, 3 Eastern. And look at this little flare up here. It's these guys that we're going to be concerned with. You see the discrete, isolated nature of those storms? That's what we are really going to be watching. Again, that is 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. And then we see this blow up here. And we're going to have kind of a secondary round work their way through parts of Wisconsin, parts of Illinois. You see that nasty line of, this is ugly here. And again, the good news is at least we have them getting in a line, but we still have discrete supercells here that can produce some pretty nasty tornadoes as well from central Illinois, eastern Iowa into extreme southern Wisconsin. So we are going to be watching that closely, taking this further out. All that heavy rain pushes east, although the overall severe weather threat is winding down. There is going to be some really nasty weather moving into Michigan, moving into Ohio, and then, of course, moving into eastern Kentucky. We're going to take this back now. We're going to go onto the cold side of the storm. So let me put it in reverse. Reverse. I can't remember what song that was. Oh, the Everybody Clap Your Hands song. Whatever that song is. Anyway, we're going to go all the way back here. So this is now going to be at 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday. That's 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central, 4 Mountain, as we are getting things underway in Casper, Wyoming, into Rapid City, South Dakota. Some wintry mix now, closing in on the Twin Cities towards Sioux Falls, South Dakota as well. Watch what happens. And this is kind of the same time as we start to get those supercell thunderstorms to pop. We have the explosion on the cold side of this storm, really blasting Pierre, South Dakota with some heavy snow towards Aberdeen, Brainerd, Minnesota. Love Brainerd. With some really heavy stuff. You see that narrow stripe of heavy snow from Pierre down to Winter, Aberdeen, Brainerd into Duluth. Again, that's going to be some nasty snow. We'll take a look at some of those snowfall totals in just 1 second. And then as the overall storm begins to pull east, we get some of that heavy snow now closing in on Minneapolis, St. Paul, into Rochester, Minnesota, Austin, Minnesota. And then that eventually pulls towards Green Bay and into Sheboygan as we get deeper into your weekend. That's going to be April 1st at 7 a.m. That's when we stop this timeline. The bullseye of this storm when it comes to the snow potential is going to be in South Dakota. Look at this. So I'm going to show you what the high resolution radar, or the high resolution model shows you here. And we could be picking up a foot, 2 feet of snow towards central South Dakota, back toward Rapid City. We could be picking up anywhere from 6 to 12 inches, maybe even a little bit more closer to Aberdeen. We could be eclipsing a foot of snow. Then there's a little bit of a lull through north central Minnesota, but then it kind of blows up again as you were to move closer towards the Twin Cities of Minnesota and then closer to Duluth, also a little bit of lake enhancement. Look at this for us in the UP of Michigan, closer to Marquette. Nice snowstorm for you. Again, winter doesn't want to end. And I want to say this is a story for another time. The upper Midwest and northern plains going to be back under the gun for some really heavy snow as we move into the first week of April. Here's a little bonus if you're interested in some of the science and meteorology behind this potential and likely severe weather outbreak on Friday. It's important to me to show the meteorology behind it, the why this could happen. It adds a little more context to it. So we're focused on this little area. Okay, I want to bring out my telestrator and I want to show you this right here. Doesn't look like much. It's the vorticity. It's the spin in the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is 500 millibars now, about 15 to 20,000 feet above your head. Doesn't look like much. Watch what happens. This is going to be early Friday morning. This thing quickly materializes. Okay, so this is now a big, giant upper low chilling right over Nebraska and southern South Dakota. You see the dip in the jet stream here. I'm going to draw it out with my little pink telestration. There is our trough, and you will also see the negative tilt to this. When a storm is negatively tilted, it increases the difference in temperature. When a temperature difference is maximized, that's when you can generate a little more instability. We also, if you'll notice what we call something split flow. We have the wind going like this, and the wind at this level pretty much travels parallel to the isobars. Those are those black lines on your screen there. And then we have the wind down here going like this. So we have things pulling apart in the atmosphere. Think of the bathtub or the pool if you're in there and you're sitting with your hands like this and you kind of pull it apart. Well, as you push that air away or the water away in your bathtub, it needs to be replaced by the water beneath it. And that's exactly what we're going to have happening in our atmosphere. We're evacuating the air upstairs at about 20,000 feet. Well, it needs to be replaced somehow by the air that's chilling at the surface. You get that rising motion, and again, you get an increased area of thunderstorm activity. And you see right where that's happening, right in that moderate risk area that the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted. So you have this big bowling ball coming across unstable air. That is going to be the catalyst there to get those strong thunderstorms going. And again, we also have the turning of the wind with height. We have very, very strong southwest winds just above the surface. We have southerly winds at the surface, and that is the turning of the wind with height. They can get those supercell thunderstorms going and then could eventually produce those long track tornadoes. I know there was a lot in there. I was rapid firing. I'm starting to lose my voice. I apologize for that. I think I'm coming down with something. But again, Friday's outbreak could be significant. It's certainly going to be on a large scale. I want to make sure that everybody watching this has a reliable way to get your warnings on Friday if you live in and around that risk area. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is really, really great to be back here. Really great to see everybody again. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you love talking about the weather, tracking the weather, we would love to have you in this weather community. Please consider subscribing, and we will catch you next time.